I've noticed that apparently he has refused to, or has offered the committee an extremely skimpy presentation of what they've asked for in terms of like his media appearances over the past a decade or so. And I got to imagine part of that is because he doesn't want to highlight the fact that he's been so excited about the rollback of voting rights.
Well, I mean, it seems like basically every single nominee has had inadequate documentation. I mean, it's just the whole confirmation process is just so astounding. I mean, it's unbelievable how this has quickly become the new normal, that you can have 6 nominations at the same time this week, that they can file completely incomplete documentation, that the ethics agencies are basically saying there's tons of stuff missing. I mean, this has never happened before, and this is happening with a president who's the most unqualified president ever in American history. So I don't know how we can tolerate this. I mean, so many things are being redefined in terms of what is considered okay, that it's just really disturbing, and it's particularly disturbing for someone who's going to be the top law enforcement official in the country and is supposed to police all of this. And it's hard to imagine, him being impartial on any of these issues.
Are there other areas that you are particularly concerned about Jeff Sessions? I mean, it does seem like his portfolio has really been at least marked by a genuine hostility to just coincidentally disallowing black people from voting or preventing them from voting. I mean, I'm sure he's just doing it from a partisan perspective.
Well, I mean, on a similar issue that's related, I'm very concerned about his positions on criminal justice issues. And I just wrote a piece about this at The Nation, and I talked to Brian Stevenson, the great civil rights lawyer in Alabama, who's been in there for 25 years and knows Jeff Sessions very well. And basically, Stevenson pointed out all sorts of disturbing things about Sessions. For example, when Alabama brought back chain gangs in 1995, Sessions said it was perfectly proper. He's repeatedly defended prosecutors in death row cases where black men were sentenced to death by all-white juries because African Americans were kicked off the juries by prosecutors. There's been horrible abuses in Alabama prisons that Sessions has said nothing about. The Alabama Constitution still authorizes segregated schools and poll taxes, and Sessions has said nothing about it. So I think criminal justice has really been an area where the Obama administration has done a lot of good work, whether it's trying to make sentencing more fair or rolling back private prisons, trying to do those sort of things, agreements between police departments in places like Ferguson and Baltimore that have been lauded by a lot of people. I mean, Sessions can roll all of this back, and this is something that the Attorney General can very easily do. He can rip up police agreements in Ferguson. He can rip up fairer drug sentencing. He can do a lot of things in this area, and he's been just as bad on criminal justice as he has been on voting. And so this is another area that I'm really, really concerned about him, and I hope he gets some questions asked. And it's particularly noteworthy because even some Republicans have been moving on criminal justice reform, right. But Sessions hasn't. Like, Sessions blocked a bill by Chuck Grassley and Paul Ryan that would have decreased nonviolent sentences. So, I mean, he's to the right of the Senate Judiciary Committee chairman and the Speaker of the House on this issue. So I think even some Republicans should be asking him about this.
And I wonder on immigration too, right? I mean,
I didn't even think about immigration.
He's going to be incredibly hostile. I mean, I'm not exactly sure how this would work, but I imagine the Office of Legal Counsel under the Department of Justice is going to start issuing this is how you can roll back things like DAPA and DACA and I mean, a whole host of laws, and I mean, it just.
So I haven't really followed immigration that closely, but I do know that Sessions has basically been the worst person in the Senate on immigration for years. I mean, everyone knows he's the go-to guy on this issue, and now he's Attorney General, and so there's a lot he can do. I mean, those 5 million Dreamers gave their information to the federal government so that they could be protected, and that information could now be used to deport them. So, I mean, this is very, very, very serious. This is not theoretical. I mean, people could be deported. Some people could lose their livelihoods. families could be ripped apart by positions that he could take. And so this is really, really serious. When we're talking about life and death issues here with him as Attorney General, and I just think like his nomination and one or two others are so important that we really can't be distracted. And I think it looks like the Senate's going to confirm him. We've already had conservative Democrats like Joe Manchin say they're going to vote for him, which I think is crazy, but they've already said it. It's very unlikely the Senate's going to block another senator. But I think if he gets in there, all we can do is try to hold his feet to the fire. And if they do these crazy things, make the Trump administration pay a political price for doing them.
Hey, it's Sam Seder. Why don't you subscribe to this channel? You can do so right over here. Subscribe.